Hello and welcome to Story Time. Today our theme is all about something you wear on your head. Do you know what that's called? A hat. You're right. Our first story is called Zoes Hats, a book of colors and patterns by Sharon Lane Holm. Red hat. Blue hat. Polka dot zoo hat. Brown hat. Green hat. Plaid. White hat. Black hat. Gray spotted dotted hat. Purple hat. Yellow hat. Orange. Turquoise hat. Violet hat. Pink. What do you think? Can you tell me what you think that hat looks like? What color is it? Does it have dots or stripes? Zigzags. Spots. Stripes. Yikes! Funny. Flowery. Silly and bright. These are the hats that Zoe likes. Can you name these colors? Red, blue, brown, green, white, black, gray. Can you name these colors? Purple, yellow, orange, blue, purple, pink. Can you name these patterns? Spotted, plaid, zigzag, more spots, stripes, flowers. And there's one last hat. Do you have a hat that you like to wear? Hats can be fun to wear with all kinds of outfits. And sometimes jobs have special hats that you need to wear. This one is called Whose Hat by Margaret Miller. Whose hat? Who do you think wears this hat when they're at work? Chef. What does a chef do? Looks like they make food. Whose hat? What do you think? Firefighter. Whose hat? Pirate. Whose hat? Construction worker. Whose hat? Nurse. Whose hat? Police officer. Whose hat? A cowhand. Whose hat? Magician. Whose hat? Witch. That is the end of that story. Is there a hat you like to wear to pretend you're doing a grown-up job? Or maybe you like to wear one for a costume. Hats can be fun just to wear anytime. Before we read our next one, what letter does hat start with? Can you make the sound? It's H. You're right. And I have a letter H right here on the board. There's a capital H and a lowercase h. And I wrote out the word hat in 3 different colors. We have blue, red, and green. At. Hat. Can you read that word out loud? Good job. When you make the sound hat, or make the sound H for hat, you can hold your hand up in front of your mouth. And if you feel your breath or your air on your hand, you're making the sound right. Why don't you try it? Do you feel your breath on your hand? Good job, you did it right then. Let's read our next story. It's about a bear. And it's titled, I Want My Hat Back by John Klassen. My hat is gone. I want it back. Have you seen my hat? No, I haven't seen your hat. Okay, thank you anyway. Have you seen my hat? No, I have not seen any hats around here. Okay, thank you anyway. Have you seen my hat? No, why are you asking me? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any hats anywhere. I would not steal a hat. Don't ask me any more questions. Okay, thank you anyway. Have you seen my hat? I haven't seen anything at all today. I have been trying to climb this rock. Would you like me to lift you on top of it? Yes, please. Have you seen my hat? I saw a hat once. It was blue and round. My hat doesn't look like that. Thank you anyway. Have you seen my hat? What is a hat? Thank you anyway. Nobody has seen my hat. What if I never see it again? What if nobody ever finds it? I miss my poor hat. I miss it so much. What's the matter? I have lost my hat and nobody has seen it. What does your hat look like? It is red and pointy, and I think I remember another animal that had a red pointy hat earlier. Do you remember which one? Let's find out. I have seen my hat. Well, it wasn't the deer or the mole or the snake or the fox or the turtle. You stole my hat. What animal was it? The bunny. love my hat. Excuse me, have you seen a rabbit wearing a hat? No. Why are you asking me? I haven't seen him. I haven't seen any rabbits anywhere. I would not eat a rabbit. Don't ask me any more questions. Okay, thank you anyway. Uh-oh. The poor rabbit shouldn't have taken the bear's hat. All right, so our next story is caps for sale. Do you like monkeys? Because this story has lots of monkeys in it. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, and a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. The word caps is another name for hats. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said, and he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, so not to upset the caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," he thought, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First he checked his own cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were just in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. Uh-oh, what happened to all the caps? He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in the back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or brown or blue or red cap. The peddler looked up at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss, tss." Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss, tss." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss, tss." At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. What do you think the monkeys will do? But then each monkey pulled off his cap. All the gray caps and all the brown caps and all the blue caps and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. I have one last story to share with you today, and its title is Jenny's Hat by Ezra Jack Keats. And before we read it, I just want to remind you that we are still only doing digital and take-home kit programs for children's for quite a while yet. So check the website for your library and you'll find updated information on there for programming. Jenny's Hat. A new hat. Jenny's favorite aunt promised to send her one as a present. Jenny waited and dreamed and waited. Shutting her big eyes, she sighed, "It'll be big and flowery and oh, so beautiful." At last it came. She ran to her room and opened the box. "Oh no," she gasped. "It's such a plain hat." "Why, dear, I really think it's quite nice," her mother said kindly. Jenny blinked back her tears and put the hat under her bed. She doesn't look very happy, does she? She put on a straw basket to see what sort of hat it would make. Then she drew pictures. "Achoo!" she sneezed. "Bless you, dear," called her mother. "And what are you doing?" "I'm drawing a caterpillar," answered Jenny. "Oh dear," sighed her mother. "I see." Then she tried on a lampshade and a little flower pot, a TV antenna, and a shiny pan, but none of these would do. Not really. Jenny noticed that it was 3 o'clock, time to feed the birds. She ran to the cupboard, filled a paper bag with breadcrumbs, and started for the park. The birds expected her, for every Saturday afternoon she went to the very same spot to scatter the crumbs. And birds came, all sorts of birds, fluttering and twittering and cooing. They all knew Jenny. Some ate out of her hand, others hopped happily on her head. Soon every last crumb was gone, and away they flew. For a while, Jenny forgot about her new hat. But walking home, Jenny remembered and wished out loud, "Oh, I wish my new hat were just a little fancier." The next morning, Jenny got up early and peeped out the window. What lovely hats she saw! Later, she went to church with her mother and father and friends. All around her, hats appeared like flowers in a garden. And as they left the church, Jenny saw some birds and more birds. Were they following her? They fluttered down to her plain hat, carrying red and violet flowers and leaves, colored eggs, and a paper fan. They added a picture of swans and a quiet lake, and some big red and yellow roses. And two big green and orange leaves, more pictures, and some paper flowers, more real flowers, and a pink valentine. Then the birds swooped down together, flapping and fluttering all around Jenny's new hat. Suddenly they all flew away. On Jenny's head sat the most beautiful hat, and at the very top was a nest of chirping young birds. Jenny felt like chirping too. Happy from head to toe, she felt like walking on air. People stared in wonder. Behind her flew the birds, watchful and proud. When they all reached her house, the birds, twittering and singing, picked up the nest of the little ones and flew back to their home in the park. Jenny waved goodbye. "Thank you," she called. Jenny's mother helped her wrap the wonderful hat piled high with lovely things. Even after the flowers and leaves had dried, it would be saved and looked at and remembered for a long time. The end. So you can always add your own decorations to your own hat. Well, thank you for joining me for story time. We'll see you again next week. Bye.